This is RRG Academy, this is Rasul and welcome to this writing course. In this course we are going to have many videos about how to write, how to become a writer. This class is going to help you to write a class paper or write a paper for publication. It is also going to help you with the writing section of the university application exams. Exams like TOEFL, IBT, GRE, GMAT, SATs, TOEIC and IELTS. Now, in this particular episode we're going to talk about concision. Concision means shortness, brevity. In this episode, you're going to learn why concision is an important thing in writing and why you should always consider it when you are writing. Let us see an example. I give you a sentence. It says, I have a feeling of enjoyment when I engage in the activity of doing reading. Is there something wrong with this sentence? Well, when most people look at it, we say, no, it looks fine. But if you're a writer, you know that this is a problematic sentence. Why? Because of this. It's too long. You are writing so much but saying too little. You have to shorten this. But what are the important parts of the sentence and what are the extra parts? What parts can we delete? There are many techniques about concision and in this video we're going to discuss them. Now, I am going to correct this sentence without explaining the reason for my corrections. Boom. I get rid of the first part. Then, boom. I get rid of the second part. And ta-da! That's all. Why did I do that? Please watch the rest of the video. There is a common pattern to students writing. They think that if they use complex grammatical structures, advanced vocabulary, their writing is going to be a masterpiece. They want to show off their writing, but that is not the case. The art of writing is not writing in a complex manner. The art of writing is this. Write the most complex things so simple that high school students would understand. Look at your university books. They are written in a very simple way. So please do not try to write like Shakespeare. This is not a literature exam. Now tell me, has it ever happened to you that when you write, you want to say, oh, let me use this word or let me use this complex grammatical structure, and when you do that, you feel like Shakespeare? Yeah, when you do that, it's only you who thinks you are being Shakespeare. Your reader is confused. We do not see what's going on in your mind. We see only what is on paper. You can save your writings by this very simple rule. Write shortly and directly. In order for you to understand why I shortened that sentence that much, which seems very radical, you will need to get through some techniques in academic writing about concision. What are those techniques? 1. Compress what you know into the fewest words. 2. Do not state what your reader can easily infer. These techniques come from a great book called Style Towards Clarity and Grace, written by Joseph Williams. Should you get the book? No. What I want you to do is this. First, you have to get through some academic writing rules. You have to go with lighter books with some videos like this one. And after learning some techniques and spending some time writing, getting used to it, that's the time for you to delve into that book. The book is very heavy, very professional. So for now, forget it. But these are some important parts that I have cut from that book and I have tried to make as simple as possible for you to understand. Now, let's see an example. It says, in my personal opinion, we must listen to and think over in a punctilious manner each and every suggestion that is offered to us. Is there something wrong with this sentence? You're gonna say, well, no, it looks fine. I'm gonna say, well, no, it looks terrible. Why do I think like that? This is the reason. First, I'm going to analyze the sentence for you word for word. Now, that's a terrible sentence because first, an opinion can only be personal, so we can cut personal part. We don't need this. Second, since any statement is implicitly opinion, we can cut in my opinion. Third, let us take a look at this part. Now, listen and think over means consider. Instead of writing all those words, you can just use the word consider. Next, in a punctilious manner. Well, in a punctilious manner means punctiliously, which means no more than carefully. You can use the word carefully synonymously with punctiliously. which means you can get rid of all this highlighted section. Next, each and every. Well, this is a redundancy. We don't need to repeat this twice. You can go with each, and that's going to transfer the same meaning you're trying to make. Lastly, suggestion that is offered to us, this section. Well, a suggestion is by definition something offered, and guess what? It is offered to someone. So we don't need that is offered to us either. So you can basically cut this section. Now, what is left is much cleaner. It transfers the essential information in the sentence without making the reader go through a jumble of colorful words, which makes the reader want to cut herself. So this is the sentence. We must consider each suggestion carefully. Boom, done. Now, we already talked about redundancy. Now, the adjective form of that, redundant, means that, for example, when you write something in 3 words, when I look at that sentence, I say, well, we could say that in 1. So 2 words are extra. They are redundant. We don't need them. Now, let us see what some redundant modifiers are. First, finish implies complete. So please, oh, please don't say finish completely or completely finished. So this is redundant. You can basically go with finish. That's all. Then, memories imply past. So past memories, I want to jump off the window when I hear that. Other examples are like future plans. Well, a plan is supposed to be about future. Why are you making me read 2 words when you can say that in 1 word? Then personal belief. And belief by definition is personal. Then final outcome. And as you know, outcome is about the final stage. Don't repeat that. Now, in many cases, the preposition alone is redundant. For example, revolve around. Don't use around. Return back. Well, return already means back. Then penetrate into. Delete into. Progress forward. Delete forward. Continue on. For the love of God. Get rid of that on. Now some redundant categories. Specific words imply their general categories, so we usually don't have to state both. What does that mean? For example, we know that time is a period, so don't say a period of time. Or we also know that the mucous membrane is an area, that pink is a color, that shiny is an appearance. That you don't see that here. I'm gonna give one more example. That heavy is about weight. So we don't have to write during the period of time the mucous membrane area became pink in color and shiny in appearance. You could just simply say during that time the mucous membrane became pink and shiny. I see some students write, oh, I have a bag, it's black in color and it's heavy in weight. Now, in some cases, we can change the adjective into a noun and drop the redundant noun. Let's consider this example. The educational process and athletic activities are the responsibility of country governmental systems. We don't need to go through that. Instead of saying educational process, where educational is the adjective and process is the noun, drop the noun and turn the adjective into another noun. For example, instead of saying educational process, say education. Take this adjective and turn it into a noun, education. Or instead of saying athletic activities, drop activities. Athletics is adjective, turn it into a noun, which is athletics. This is the noun for it. So this sentence changes into education and athletics are the responsibility of country governments. Now, here are some general nouns that are often used redundantly. We can be more direct and concise by dropping the general word. How? Like this. Instead of saying large in size, just say large, because large already means in size. Or instead of saying of bright color, say bright. Instead of saying heavy in weight, just go with heavy. Or round in shape, go with round. I'm not gonna read all these things. Pause the video and read the list. This is going to be very helpful for your writings. Next, pompous diction. What on earth do these words mean? Well, pompous means enlarged, something that is unnecessarily big. Diction means word choice. You see how annoying it is to use all these confusing advanced words? Just say them simply. Why would you torture your readers? Now, a smattering of big words and their simpler near synonyms. Smattering means a slight superficial knowledge of a language or a subject. And here are some examples. Instead of saying contingent upon, say depend on. Instead of saying deem, go with think. Instead of endeavor, go with try. Instead of envisage, go with think, regard, see. Instead of utilization, go with use. And pause the video and read the rest yourself. Next, complex wordiness. Often we say things in a redundant way. We needlessly state what everyone can know. Let's take a look at this example. Imagine a picture of someone engaged in the activity of trying to learn the rules for playing the game of chess. Let's analyze it together. Well, in the first place, when you imagine someone, you already have a picture in your mind. So you don't need to say a picture of. Drop this, go with imagine, and jump to someone. Next, engaged in the activity of trying to. Well, here is a tip. Whenever you see engaged in the activity of, just delete it, kill it in your writing. We don't want that. Just give me the action itself. After someone would delete all this section and say trying to learn. So imagine someone trying to learn. Learn what? The rules of playing the game of chess. You know better than not that the chess is already a game. For the love of God, don't say it. So directly, the rules of chess. That's all. So the sentence reduces to imagine someone trying to learn the rules of chess. Now, before I move to the next example, here is my question, and I'm sure you have it in your mind. Why in the world we are trying so hard to make the sentences so short? Now, in the past, we didn't have computers, we didn't have editing programs, or we didn't have Microsoft Office. So people used pens and pencils to write things. And correction was very difficult. The revisions were just terrible, which is why they wrote the first draft, and that was basically the final draft. So if you look at history books, they are usually 10, 20 volumes, and when you see them, you want to kill yourself, let alone trying to read them. But with the advanced technology, we have computers, we have iPads, we have phones, we have Microsoft Office, and many other programs to edit texts. So you're expected to spend time and correct your essays. Now imagine that you want to write a book. Instead of writing 3 volumes to say something, imagine how efficient it would be to write it in 1 volume. Instead of writing 3 books, go with 1. That's easy, both for you and for the reader. Let us take a look at another example. When you write down your ideas, keep in mind that the audience that reads what you have to say will infer from the writing style something about your character. Now, you can write down only ideas. Your audience can read only what you have to say. Don't say these. You write only to them. Then they can infer something about your character only from your writing. They don't see you, they see your writing. So in fewer words, keep in mind that your readers will infer from your style something about your character. Done. Clean, clear, short. Now I'm giving you a list. Just stick with it. It's going to help you enormously. You can compress many common phrases into single or 2 words. For example, do not say the reason for it. Say because. Do not say owing to the fact that. Go with since. I'm not going to read them all. Pause the video and study them. Instead of despite the fact that, go with although. Instead of if it should transpire that or if it should happen that, simple, go with if. Instead of under the circumstances in which, it's beautiful, isn't it? Just 1 word, when. Instead of concerning the matter of, go with about. Instead of saying there is a need or there is a necessity, must, should. Instead of saying she is able to, go with can. Instead of prior to, go with before. Now please pause the video and study them very carefully. What you need to do is this. You're going to take the essays that you've written in the past and try to shorten them using the techniques that I told you. Or try to write something off the top of your head then put them just in front of you and try to make them as concise as possible. That's your homework. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please, if you liked the video, like, share, subscribe to help the channel.